Hey everybody, what's going on? Hellmite here, bringing you another video from Grab the Lantern today. Riot have posted a really interesting QGT post from the Summoner's Rift team earlier today, talking about the champion durability update in patch 12.10. Now, for those of you who haven't been paying attention to patch numbers, that is, I believe, in the next 2 to 3 patches from now, so it will not be going to live anytime soon, but suffice it to say, this will likely be on PvE before too long for an extended testing period. Now, these changes are intended to improve the overall durability of champions in League of Legends by increasing base health, health per level, armor per level, and magic resistance per level. The idea behind this is that Riot and players essentially feel that damage in the game is too damn high. Right now, it's really easy to 100-0 champions, and when you do die, it's hard to tell exactly what happened. All you know is you took a ton of damage from somewhere and just kind of exploded, and there wasn't a lot of opportunity for counterplay either. You just kind of die to things. These changes aren't aimed at completely removing the ability for champions to burst you down, but they are aimed at least improving the durability of champions to help them survive a little bit longer. Now, there are some important changes happening around this, and I think there's some important distinctions on what's going to happen with this update, and that's the subject of the video today. I want to talk a little bit more about all of these things and give my take on how this may affect the overall experience of League of Legends. Now, importantly to note here, there are some changes happening around the durability scope changes because Riot need to account for all of the champions of the game being slightly more durable than before. Baron and turrets are going to be doing more damage to champions than before to counteract that extra toughness that every champion is going to have. This probably won't have very much of an effect. They can calibrate turret damage and Baron damage pretty appropriately, so I don't expect this to have a huge impact, but suffice it to say, there may be the potential for turrets to be a lot scarier to dive early nowadays, or after this patch, than they are nowadays. Sustain is also going to take even more nerfs, so Vamp Scepter might actually drop below that 8% lifesteal value that I was talking about on a previous patch note rundown. This makes sense because more durable champions get more value from sustain, right? A tank with a Soraka standing behind him pressing W is more or less unkillable because you just can't chew through that much armor, that much health, that much magic resistance, especially not when the health keeps getting restored, and this is doubly true for champions that can do lots of damage and convert that damage into healing. One can consider an Aurelia with Blade of the Rune King, for example, where already she's tough to kill. Now imagine she has a little bit more base health and a little bit more armor and magic resistance to go with that. It gets out of hand pretty quick, and that's why sustain is likely going to be nerfed as well. Champions are also likely going to run out of mana more quickly. I think this always should have been a consideration. I feel like right now mana is a system that you only have to worry about for the first maybe 10 minutes of the game, and afterwards you literally never think about your mana pool again. And I do like the thought of Riot trying to make mana matter in a way that I don't think it really has in a few years, especially with a lot of newer champions just being able to press their buttons off cooldown and never feel like they run out of mana. I really like the idea of having champions run out of mana more. This will also have the side effect of reducing damage, because if you have less mana, you have to be more judicious with your casting, and therefore you can't cast as much, you have less poke, you have less overall damage potential, and this is, I think, partially to help with the lack of sustain or the lowered sustain in the game overall. If you can't heal as much, then enemy poke champions shouldn't be able to do as much damage because you just can't heal it off in the way you used to be able to. So I do like this change. It's sort of another one of those butterfly changes to help account for all of the other things that are going. Riot also mentioned that they wanted to try and help scaling champions stay alive in lane long enough to actually hit their power fantasies, and this is potentially scary with all of the aforementioned changes as well. I would hate to see a metagame where games automatically go over 30 minutes because early aggression just doesn't work, because these late game scaling champions are so safe that you can't punish them in lane, and so then why play early aggro when you can just play late game and basically hope that you win the team fights later on. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. I do think there's room in League of Legends right now for more of these games to run late and to be decided based off of teamfight decision-making and teamfight setups and macro play and that kind of a thing. I really do like those games, but it definitely can't skew too hard in that direction to the point where lane does not matter. You're guaranteed to hit 30 minutes, you're guaranteed to hit your power spikes, and therefore the first 15 minutes of the game are just a snooze fest where everyone farms and tries to get their items, right? That's the important thing that Riot need to try and avoid here with these changes. And this is the biggest concern that I have, especially when you consider a lot of the sort of ripple effects of these changes overall. For example, if all champions are more durable on average, then that means burst damage is weaker. burst champions tend to be very defined by their ability to kill someone in a single rotation, right? They hit all of their buttons and somebody dies. Now, this means that they do need to hit all of their buttons. They need to find their moment. They need to be able to make it happen. And even small things like a barrier or a heal or someone leveling up at an inappropriate moment can completely ruin their plans, right? Assassins in particular tend to be very knife's edge balanced. They're either really good or not very good at all, and that tends to be very difficult for Riot to balance out. Now imagine every champion in the game is more durable. Assassins' jobs just got that much harder. And part of this is intentional. Riot don't want Assassins to be able to kill you with only part of their kit, right? They don't want to see a Zed use his W just to get in range of R, or to see a LeBlanc use her W and waste the damage just to be in range of her other buttons, right? That's not really what Riot want to have happen. They want Assassins to have to commit all of their buttons to kill a full health target. Obviously, they'd need less of it if you're already at half health or lower, but to generally make it so Assassins need to have more skill and need to be able to land the entirety of their burst combo in order to actually kill somebody. But again, because it's going to be harder for Assassins to do that, and Assassins will wane in popularity, and as I already mentioned before, sustain is going to be stronger, because all champions will get more durable, and if more champions are more durable and burst is worse, that means that it's going to be harder to outright kill these tanks, and you're going to need a sustained form of damage to just kind of burn them down, right? Chew through that health bar and eventually kill them in a way that you can't really do if you're kitted for burst. And with the combined effect of longer games as well, this means we could end up in a metagame very similar to a few years ago where AD carries were absolute kings, right? They were the only champion on your team that mattered, to the point where you would pick a tank jungler and a tank top laner and a supportive mid laner and a supportive support, and all you would do is funnel everything into the AD carry because they were the only class that mattered. The metagame with these durability changes may shift very hard towards AD carries because their frontliners will be more durable, meaning that they're able to survive longer to protect their AD carry. The AD carry needs to chew through the health bars of enemy team members in a way that burst champions really can't do, and if games go later as well, it means that AD carries are more likely to get their full item build, which tend to be very backloaded, and become very strong. And this is potentially a problem because, again, we don't want these 30-minute snooze fests, and it's going to be very difficult, I think, for Riot to make sure that there are still decisions to be made, that games are still not going extremely long, and that the early game can still matter. I think that's going to be a very difficult thing for them to figure out. Now, I think importantly, though, again, just to highlight, burst champions will still be able to burst you down without their full kit if they're ahead. These changes are not going to save you if the enemy Zed is 5-0 and a full item up on you and 3 levels up on you, right? He is still going to kill you, and he won't even need his full kit to do it. That's not what Riot are attempting to nerf out here. These changes will also likely not save you if you're, for example, getting picked off 1v5. Even if you're a full tank and you get Blitzcrank hooked into the middle of the enemy team and they blow all their cooldowns on you, you probably should still die to that. And the League of Legends community, admittedly, has gotten very good at focus fire. We've kind of, as a community, learned when it's appropriate to actually just throw all your cooldowns at a single guy, as opposed to, I feel like in previous incarnations where players had these ideas about not focusing the front line and trying to just run down the enemy backline, even if you're a backline damage dealing squishy on your own, right? That kind of a thing doesn't happen as much as it used to anymore. We're really good about saying, just kill that one guy because he's right there and we can put all of our damage onto him. So in that regard, I feel like it's going to be less of a thing, but definitely still a thing to be considering going forward. So overall, I think I've been a little bit more negative about these changes than I really am. I do feel like there is an excess of damage in League of Legends right now. I do feel like right now you just kind of die and you don't know why, and almost any champion can just kind of throw their whole damage combo at you and do a good chunk of your health. And I like the game better when team fights are longer, when you have more decisions to be made, when you have more ability to tell what's going on and to react accordingly, as opposed to having to make all of your decisions in the first quarter second of the game, right? That's not as much fun. But I do think that there is the potential for Riot to overshoot, so even though I know it's really exciting to think, hey, we might end up in a metagame where I don't get bursted down and games can go longer and teamfights can matter more, that the opposite of games being short and bursty is not necessarily better. So either way, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this down in the comment section below. If you are really excited for lower damage in the game overall, or if you think that this is also a mistake, let me know what your opinions are down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video today, go ahead and leave it a like, and if you really enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. I upload a video every Monday, Friday, and on patch days as well. Once again, thank you guys so very much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I'll talk to you all later.